Hi. So I've just wrapped up editing and uploading my latest series. And as some viewers ask it, I've got some tips on motorcycle riding in China to share. So I will break this down into 6 parts. But if I miss anything, just feel free to drop a comment and I'll get back to you there. So now let's dive in. The first will be how to ride in China. You may have a question, can I ride in China? Yes, you can, as long as you have all the necessary documents. So the first one, you need to have a driver's license from your own country, but you can use that license to drive directly here, not even with a translated version. So you need to apply for a temporary driving license, which is a relatively simple process. And the temporary license can be valid for anywhere from 3 months to 1 year. Yeah. But if you plan to work or reside here for a very long time, you can apply for a permanent one, which is valid for 6 years, I think. So the documents required are straightforward, very simple, typically passport, residence permit, and proof of registered residence. If you want to get a formal Chinese driver license, it's also simple. Just pass a written exam. Now you get an English version, so it can be easy. I don't have any trouble, understanding the traffic signs here. Not because I'm Chinese. Even for you, it's gonna be very simple because compared with other countries, most of the signs are co-shared, so it can be really easy to understand. Even you get an examination in English, so shouldn't be a problem for you. So the second part is it safe to ride in China? Well, actually that's a tough question. I didn't plan to talk about this initially because safety largely depends on where you are from and what your riding environment is like back home. So I'll just share some of my experience after driving over 60,000 kilometers by car and riding over 40,000 kilometers by motorcycle in this country. So honestly, based on my experience, it's not entirely safe. It's not about the road conditions or traffic regulations. It's about the people here. Some Chinese drivers are pretty reckless. I've had people almost push me to the edge of the road. I've seen people drive in the opposite lane, almost forcing me into a ditch. I've even seen drone hovering in the middle of the road. So very easy to hit someone. I've encountered countless instances of people changing lanes without signaling. So there are just too many examples to list. I've noticed some YouTubers who ride or travel here often use, clickbait tactics to attract viewers, like claiming there are cameras everywhere in China and the people's privacy is being invaded. But you know what? Trust me, if you ever ride or drive here, you'll probably have, feeling, wish the government would install more high-tech surveillance to curb reckless driving behavior. So my advice is, if you are riding a motorcycle in China, always keep, control your right hand, your speed. Don't overspeed, stick to less than 110 kilometers per hour on expressway and less than 80 on highways. This is especially important in places like Tibet and Western Sichuan, where rescue services can take over more than 2 hours to arrive due to terrain restrictions, high altitude, harsh environments, and underdeveloped medical care. So be careful. Well, now let's move to a third one. I even got myself a note for this one: how to access the Chinese expressway. This is another tough topic. Chinese government policies don't explicitly ban motorcycles from expressways, but some provincial policies do. Others are vague, means equivocal, neither clearly illegal nor illegal, where some provinces allow motorcycles on expressways. So I'll clarify this based on my own riding experience. Let's start it with the most favorable ones. Provinces like Guizhou and some parts of Anhui and Yunnan allow motorcycles on expressways without restrictions for free. However, I recall a time when I was in Guizhou, required to register at a toll gate But later, I exited it near the toll gate, paid 15, and re-enter again, and this time for free. So it's kind of, weird. Now let's move to a second category. Provinces such as Beijing, Tianjin, Inner Mongolia, Hebei, Xinjiang, Heilongjiang, Liaoning, Jilin, and Hubei permit motorcycles on expressways, but require registration at toll gates and payment like normal cars. Last group, provinces that ban motorcycles from expressways include long list: 山东、江苏、浙江、福建、河南、湖南、广东、广西、江西、四川、重庆、西藏、青海、甘肃、宁夏、陕西 and 山西 and 山西 pronunciation so similar with each other. So what to do? So many of us in ban motorcyclists, right? Here I got a solution for you. If you find yourself needing to access an expressway where motorcycles aren't allowed, you can use an ETC device. It uses short-range communication technology to automatically deduct tolls. So more importantly, you can avoid charges at the free gates by sealing the device into an ion can to block the signal canister. Only if you are in provinces that charges no money from motorcycle. I often use this way when I can't access certain gates. You might wonder, why not just use normal roads if motorcycles are banned? That's another topic. Normal roads are often too crowded and too dangerous and too troublesome, especially for long distance trips and with a big bike. Just frustrated. Part 4, where can you explore in China as a foreigner? Yeah, sensitive one, right? So far as I know, foreigners can ride motorcycles freely in most provinces in China without a guide. However, there are exceptions, such as Tibet and some areas in Xinjiang. Typically, you are required to follow a designated route with a Chinese guide when traveling from Yunnan to Tibet or from certain border ports in Tibet, like those between India and China or Nepal and China. Many YouTubers have done this with teams from different countries. You can access that, right? Easy. But from my perspective, especially as someone who, like me, prefers solo riders, so this arrangement can be a bit boring. Plus, the scenery along the designated routes isn't always the most stunning, and there's so much more to explore in Tibet. So why not do it differently? But I got a suggestion. My suggestion is to avoid the sensitive routes and explore on your own. Of course, in a legal way, don't get yourself into trouble by doing it illegally. Explore Western Sichuan, so is one solution, where the scenery is just as breathtaking as in Tibet, with plenty of Tibetan religious sites, grasslands, snow-capped mountains, glaciers, yaks, and sheep, all sorts of. You can also explore Qinghai province, which has some of the most remote areas, and where you can see the world's most stunning railway, amazing antelopes, and magnificent mountains like Tangu La and the Kunlun ranges. And you can also go exploring the remote sources of the Yangtze and the Yellow rivers. Most of these areas are over 4,800 meters. So just a thrilling experience. What I'm trying to say is that those areas will give you an experience just as good as riding in the Himalayas. As an aside, you could also embark on a Silk Road adventure or explore Inner Mongolia, both offering incredible stunning scenery. So why stick to guided routes in sensitive Tibetan regions if you don't have a total freedom? What is the point of a motorcycle adventure without that freedom? So from my viewpoint, these designated routes aren't much different from the ones in India and Pakistan, except for the Everest Base Camp. If you want to try those routes, you can just try the other side in India and in Nepal. Okay, part 5. How to camp with motorcycle adventures in China. I know some of you might consider camping as part of your motorcycle adventures. I came across a ride-share YouTube on that platform who also does motorcycle trails and camps in China, Western Sichuan. Yeah, he's a brave guy, I gotta say. Some might think it's unnecessary to save on accommodations, but with motorcycle, camping offers a completely different experience. Imagine this: having your motorcycle by your side, you cook for yourself, and you immerse yourself in nature. So that's a feeling worth writing about in your memoirs when you when you are too old to ride anymore, right? One of the most fascinating parts about camping in China is the freedom you have. Unlike many countries, there's barely any private land here, so you don't have to worry about someone pointing a gun at you and telling you to leave their property. Yeah, it's joking here. If you encounter any issues like needing hot water or facing a rainy day that's not suitable for camping, you can also find a village or town nearby. Right now, almost every village or town has a community center where you can get free charging, hot water, camping, and toilet facilities, of course, for free. However, I want to warn you something. Avoid camping in Western Sichuan along the famous Route 317 or some parts in Qinghai province, as there are dangerous animals like wolves, bears, and snow leopards. But if you must camp, ask the locals in advance and try to communicate with them beforehand. And lastly, remember to take your trash with you. I always bring all my garbage with me. I even tie a plastic bag to my crash bar to store it. Sometimes you can see it in my episodes, right? Well, finally, the last one, number 6. Is it worth riding in China considering the hindrance I just mentioned? Quite a lot, right? Well, it depends. If you love the scenery, culture, history, and people here, then my answer would be yes. It is absolutely worth it. I think traveling to China as a foreigner should be on your bucket list. And motorcycling in China will make your life stand out from others and be something to brag about for the rest of your life, even to your kids. Trust me, I've been to many countries and I still rank China as the top in every aspect of motorcycling. I can cook, camp, and ride almost anywhere. There aren't as many regulations as in European countries, where camping, cooking, and use fireworks might be strictly prohibited, or where private land is off limits. Drones are banned, and the privacy laws restrict recording. So I think China is the most beautiful country in the world. I just say like this, because this is a country with almost every natural element our planet has to offer, except for Norway's fjords. So why not take some time to explore it for yourself and craft your own unique story, right? What are you waiting for? But however, if you come here with deep-seated prejudices that won't change even after traveling here, I wouldn't recommend it. You might get frustrated with the numerous street cameras, spicy foods, possibly rude people you might encounter, and the complicated procedures for document verification, etc. Well, I've talked enough, so I'd like to wrap up this sharing now. If you have any other questions, just feel free to ask. I'd be very happy to answer them. And my plan for future, there will be very short series about winter adventure. Gonna finish editing and uploading. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.